Silver and gold rocketing to record highs. Electricity and food rocketing to record highs. Do you think we're in a hyperinflationary environment because office space collapse? Banks are talking about it going to zero, and there seems to be a little bit of, wow, how are we going to pay for our food if it goes to prices as it did in the Weimar Republic of Germany? So gold reaches yet another record high. So what does that say about all the money printing? People are not confident, they're running over to get gold, and it just takes more of those pieces of paper. Now, have you noticed also to buy food, like a real physical thing, your loaf of bread, can of soup, costs more of that paper also to buy the same exact thing. It's no different if it's gold, if it's silver, if it's a house, if it's food, it's all the same. This inflation as they print more. And they're all talking about this housing crisis, which I'll talk about. It's more about real estate, collapsing banks, actually. So the gold price, all-time record high, $35.74. That's going to go higher by the next video. And then silver was up to $41.90, which is pulled back to $41.30. But this thing, it's just going to keep going up as well. And as that gold-silver ratio tightens up, it's going to be something interesting, especially if that's going to be based on the cost of your food. We're going to have to think of different solutions here. But I wanted to bring this up. This is such the interesting article written in 1966, no less. They were talking about after World War II, the dissolution of the European colonial empires / czars. They were no longer financially sustainable and offered no greater prospects for exploitation and plunder by means of international loans. Enter post-World War II, debt, credit. We've run that cycle too. We're really at the very, very, very end also of the end of the exploitation and plunder by means of credit and debt expansion. Where does that leave our world? Well, you can see we're shifting. And Ray Dalio, one of my favorites, talking about crypto is now an alternative currency that has a limited supply. So a limited supply should be worth more because they're just going to print. And how much do you think if steaks are going to all-time record high, ground beef at nearly $9 on the wholesale level, vegetables just rocked up 40% in a single month. Where does that leave us with choices to try to protect against runaway food inflation? Because at some point, heating or eating, oh, that already happened in England a couple years ago. So we're back to the same thing here in America. If Ray Dalio, one of the greatest minds of all time in the financial markets, it says that this thing has legs, it just makes sense in 1966. What he's saying is like, we've run to the end of it, so let's start something new. Gold, silver, commodities, and crypto. And here you go. Bitcoin now makes up 1.7% of all money in the world. Whoa, that was fast. That went from 0 to 1.7 in like a year. We were all warned, stay away from it, it's bad. How many times did we hear that? And now it's almost 2% of the global monetary reserves across the entire planet of the world's money. Now here, I wanted to bring this to you. Trump launches World Liberty Financial and it crashes from 33.13 cents on the open to get that 333, and it dropped 33%. Now, perhaps that's the line in the sand where that was meant to drop that much and it'll bounce back up. But it's really interesting in that crowd that we see a bunch of 33s sparkled through. If you're getting close to retirement or just thinking ahead, you've probably done a solid job of saving. But here's something most people don't consider. How much of that money is just sitting in cash? It might feel safe, but holding too much cash guarantees one thing. You're losing purchasing power. Inflation eats away at it, and the dollar's value keeps slipping. That's why more people are looking at real assets like physical gold and silver to protect their savings. And one company makes that easy, Noble Gold Investments. You can buy gold, silver, coins, bars. They'll ship to your home, or you can have it stored securely. It's a smart way to convert cash into something that actually holds value. Visit 2030gold.com. That's 2030gold.com. Because when you own real assets, you own real wealth. And please remember, Noble Gold, fair, transparent. They're not going to pressure you. They're going to give you actual information and real options in which to make good decisions. Again, that's 2030gold.com. Click on that link in the description box below. What you won't lose with silver. least in my opinion. I mean, I'm just showing you a supply and demand silver forecast here. This is why a lot of prices for metals that hold value are going to go up. Now, can you imagine using a silver coin to buy loaves of bread or your groceries at the end? If it goes to $100, $200 an ounce, what do you think your food's going to cost? But you're still going to retain that purchasing power with an ounce of silver. Supply and demand, anywhere it's red means they're using more than they're mining. Anywhere it was blue prior, like 2019, 20, they were mining more than they were using. So you can see that flag really starts to get large there. How are we going to make up the demand? Everything's industrial. We need it for solar panels. We need it for everything, high-end electronics. It all needs silver. So where does it go? Back to old school. I'm just going to say we're going back to gold again. Central banks are getting crazy buying it. And it's at the point now, because it's like this change in the world. 2 icebergs just showed up at our front door, or 2 behemoths of change. Also, electricity prices. This goes right into your food production costs, because these factories that need electricity to produce foods, canned foods, they're going to be charging an enormous amount more because their electricity costs are running crazy. So this is the U.S. electrical demand. Data centers in that sliver of blue, 4.4%. That is expected to triple in the next 3 years to 12% plus in the next 3 years. If you think your electricity prices are expensive now, what's that going to do? You're paying more for electricity, more for food, more for everything. And then how do we move through this juncture is the question. So I want to leave you with a riddle here, I guess is the best way. This is the future of energy blueprint abundance for AI and humanity, 2025 to 2040. Sectors I would like to see: humans, AI data centers, crypto mining, and at the very bottom, total needed 150,000 terawatt hours per year. And if you continue to the right, you'll see that we'll require a 30% increase in total generation by 2035. Do you think that's possible? They're already struggling to build their own power supplies at the data centers because there's just not enough transmission and generation equipment. One of these is going to have to decrease. Which one do you think it's going to be? But I will throw something out here for you. The simple atmospheric power plant. Yes, there's a millivolt charge in our atmosphere that could be harvested. So you can take a look at some different words and then find yourself over to the patents here with the control wires. This is very much the same thing that electroculture does. So this is the newest version that was an addendum from the 1904 patent. Should be thinking about those types of things, because zero hedge here, this will be the most popular chart on the site by the end of the year. They're talking electricity price is where that yellow arrow is going, and it's not stopping. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're going to have to grow your own food or do something about your food supply, food costs, availability of food, trading food, something, because the electric's going to get higher. And the higher the electric goes, the higher the factories are going to get charged, and they're going to pass that on to you. You think the supermarkets that keep their lights on, that's going to cost them 3 times more, are going to charge you less? They're going to add a couple pennies. How about your home bill, your home heating bill, your home electric bill? Everything that's running on electric is going to just keep going up. So in North Virginia, they already account for 25% of the usage, and they're willing to pay anything. So you're going to bargain with them, and they need to create their own category for AI data centers so they can build them separately and get all that upgrade that we're paying for on their own category is what needs to happen. But the household electric prices in selected countries, March 2025. I remember just me in the United States here, 5.4 cents per kilowatt. What I remember forever. And now it is near 18 cents. So, pre-COVID, it was always around 5.8, 5.4, something like this cents per kilowatt. So anyway, that was just a reference point going back probably 5 years. So look in Italy, 43 cents. It's nearly $0.50 per kilowatt. So how many kilowatts per month do you use in your home? Then there'll be surcharges on top of this, and all these things to build out the grid for data centers are included in your bill. That's what I'm saying. They need to get their own classification so they can get billed on their own for their own infrastructure, not me paying for a data center. Case in point, South Africa electricity price really started, went up 3 times since 2010, and especially that spike from 2019 straight up from 1.2 to 1.8. And that kind of hurts people when you're starting to pay these prices. Now, speaking of cash, this one's interesting here. The UK will now have a new withdrawal rule September 18th. If you withdraw more than £200 you are going to have to, and that's within a whole 7-day period, you're going to have to register. And if you do it twice within that time, you've overstepped, and they are going to pass you on to the monetary authority. 200 pounds in a week on a cash withdrawal. Absolutely trying to slide us over into digital usage. You can spend whatever you want on credit cards, but if you go to the bank and take out your money or withdraw cash, you're going to get looked at in the UK. 200 pounds. Come on. But here's also one that dovetails right with that. The dark blue line is the construction of data centers. The light blue line is the deconstruction and availability of general office space in value. So as you can see, as the value goes down in office space, something's turning over, and all that extra money, funds, etc., is going into the data centers. But the data centers ping up our electricity prices, which in turn ping up your food price in every way, shape, and form across the whole entire supply chain. Cold storage. Do you think keeping your foods frozen before they arrive using electricity is going to be cheaper or more expensive? I know they're unaware. I know they're using diesel generators on some of it, but hey, some of it's coming through actually in the facilities themselves that are pulling electric to do that. Everywhere you look, the heightened electricity prices are digging into your own pocket for your own home, but then it's also digging in the company. So everywhere you look, everything is going up. Why? Well, we're at the, I guess, at the end of an era. I guess when a crystal girl makes you breakfast, is it really eggs and toast? That's the question. I do thank you for watching. Think about your dental care during some of these times as well. Check out Alpha Vedic Dental Solutions, alphavedic.com/adapt2030. That link's in the description box below, along with the deposit addresses for Monero and Pirate Chain. If you believe in independent journalism, help keep Adapt 2030 on air. Those two are below as well. Hope you got something out of the video. Share with your friends and families. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.